I think, just like last week, I think I forgot to hit go live. So, anyway, here we are. Are you guys both seeing me and hearing me right now? Hi, Yvonne. Do I get it? Yes, you can see and hear me. Okay, wonderful. Um, I thought today we'd play around with using some shapes and some drawing. Now, what I have pulled up is not what you are probably going to find, but we're going to draw flamingos today. I thought that'd just be fun shape to play with our drawing tools and our shape builder tool. And so let me get you to, I do have the picture of a flamingo here that I'm going to use, but you're going to be able to use any flamingo picture you want. I want you to just go to, let me see if you're seeing my screen yet. Okay. I found these flamingos, and I don't think you can get them because I found them at um, adobe.com. I may just have you see if you can get them. However, what you can do is, like we've done before, go to your internet. I'm going to open a new window here. And just put in flamingos. Hi, Mary. Glad you joined us. And go to images, and you can find all kinds of images. I'm also going to put in see if you, yeah, I don't think you'll be able to get the one I used. And if there's one, oh, here's a good one right here. I found one that's got the whole flamingo with the, oops, that's not the one. This is the one I found. It's got a whole flamingo with the legs and everything. And see if you can, let me know if you can find one like that for a minute. Let me know if you found one. There's quite a few I'm seeing that have the whole thing. Or you don't need, if you wanted to use one like this one that I see on here. Um, it's got one foot up and the other foot you can draw from another picture. So all you need is just a flamingo. Ooh, here's some nice one. Facts. Look at these flying ones. Is there anybody here who totally dislikes flamingos? I just want something that's got some shapes that we can use. It'll be interesting to see how we come out with. I'm not getting answers from anybody. Are you looking for flamingos? Or do you just want to watch me? Okay, great, Katia. Getting my inkscape into place now. I was working here with some, making some paisleys. I can show you what I was kind of doing before class. Here's some paisleys I had previously made, and I put them together um, to make an angel. And this is where I started out. We'll look at this first while people are looking at images. Does everybody, if you're not interested in a flamingo, we could always do this angel. I gotta see now if I can get my flamingo image up. I'm gonna make you sick here. I think I'm just gonna do this one that's on the screen. This one that's in the water. I happen to like it. Okay, I'm just going to use this one. Got one, great. And I'm going to, let me see if I have a, get my new document up. See if I can squash the chat over here farther so that I can also get this flamingo picture up. And even if you don't have a picture, you might want to just draw along the shapes that we're making and see what you come up with. Get a couple of my screens closed up here. So I can move everything into place. I think to see, you can see my flamingo and you can see my page. Okay. I don't have tail feathers on this one, but we'll get at that later. So what we're going to do is use shapes to start this flamingo out. If we look at the shape, what shape do you see first that's the main shape? Where would you start on this as a main shape? What would you draw first, everyone? Well, I'm going to start. Yes, exactly, Mary. We're going to start with an oval. An oval or a round. Yep. Either one works. Either one. So I'm gonna make almost a kind of a round oval. I'll make it a little bit smaller. So I'm not taking up the whole page. Okay, what are we gonna need next? And think of the fact that we have to think about body proportions. Well, okay. So here we go. I'm going to go up to the head next. And the reason why is because if I just try and draw the neck, yeah, the neck is the first thing that comes to mind. But think of this. How tall are you going to make that neck? And stop. A triangle for the tail. Yep. That's though you guys have got the top three plus my oval. So that makes the four sections that we're going to start with. So what I think is it would be easier to get the necks in if we get the head in so we have some place to go at the top and we can kind of judge how far it is away from the body. Now we could do the next neck. I'm not going to say the head is the best way. The neck could be next. But if you put the oval in, the head oval in first, I am just going to copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and make this smaller for the head. I'm going to hold my Control key to keep it in shape. I don't want to pull the oval shape out of. Now, I'm not sure exactly how big to make it, and I can always adjust that later. Now, I'm going to judge that from the top of the back to the bottom, here to here, is about the same length as the top of the neck to the bottom of the neck. And the bottom of the neck comes out. If I go across here, it comes out, what, about a third of the way up? So I find it easier to draw down. And if I needed to, I could put my, get in. See where I pulled down a ruler guide that I think looks like where the top of the neck goes. And so I'm going to try that. I'm also looking, and it looks to me like the head is not very much to the right of the edge of the body. It's almost, because the curve goes out, but then back in again. So I'm going to pull out a guideline at the front of the body and figure that the head may be about right here. So now I'm going to take my pen tool and I'm going to go kind of at the base of the oval in the back. And I'm going to draw kind of a little S curve and then go back. Now notice I dragged down. And in the beginning, sometimes when you're using the pen tool, it's hard to know which way to drag. And that comes with the practice, the more you work with it. But basically, I'm going to drag towards the direction I want to go. Now, if I dragged up my handle, notice that I'm getting a big curve at the bottom. If I drag my handle up, the U shape drags the opposite way. The curve drags the opposite way. However, if I was dragging up, or if I'm dragging down, then my curve is going up. So I'm going to, I don't know if I've exactly explained that before, so let me go back and we'll go over it again. I do want to be able to manipulate the curve so I don't, if I put a, remember if I just click once to start my line, I'm not going to be able to control the curve at all from this point. Because remember, if you click and then click, you have these handles right here. Whoops. You have the handles here, but over here, you don't have any handles at all because you just clicked. So since we want a curve, I'm going to click and drag. Oops, I lost my pen tool. Helps if you have your pen tool. Click and drag. So I'm getting at least one handle. And then I notice when I drag down, my curve went to the right. I want my curve to the left. So I'm going to click and drag up. Now my curve is going to the left. And I think about here, we're not very far. See how I've got the left curve? I'm not going to worry about that little loop at the top of the head. That could all be fixed later. And then I drag down to get my curve to the right. And now I didn't mean to double click. Here I go again. Okay. Drag up, drag down. Actually, notice I'm dragging down to the right, so my curve is going up to the right. Now I'm going to just drag down, and then I'm going to click and drag at the bottom. And I'm not in the right place, which is fine. Now I want to make this an enclosed shape. So I'm going to click and drag down. Then I'll move both of these up. Go back and do the opposite thing. I'm not worried about my shaping right now. And then I want to go back to the very, see where I'm going to click on, double click on top of the starting node. That gives me a filled shape. Now it's a really odd looking shape. It looks like a seal diving downward with a ball on its tail. But what's so great about this program is we can go now and get our node tool. And now all our shapes, remember, aren't paths yet. They don't have, notice there's not 4 editable nodes here because it's just a shape. It's just an object. I need to change my oval to a path. And remember, now we have this nice new little green outline around the little white square that is object to path. So now notice once I click that, instead of the 3, the 2 squares and the circle on my oval, it's going to give me 4 square nodes. Now these are editable. Not just height and width like an object is, but now I can make any kind of shape out of this. So I've got to do that with my other oval too. Go click. Now I'm picking my node tool up below my selection arrow instead of using my N key, but I could have used the N key for node to switch to the node tool. And again, I'm going to click to get object to path. And we drew this shape with our pen tool, so that already is a path. The pen tool automatically draws paths. Now, about that triangle for the tail, Katia, here's where we can put that in. And you could have put that in first. I guess the main point I wanted to make is it's easier to draw between 2 objects to get your length, even if like this is too far down on the body maybe, but it's going to work great. It actually might work for this bottom part. I can connect it. I'm looking at my picture right here now and looking where the bottom part comes in. Now that is quite low. And we'll be connecting them all together. So let's get the triangle. Now for the triangle, we're going to click on the polygon tool, star polygon. So just look for the star, click on that. I want a triangle, not a star, so I'm going to go, notice the star is purple. I'm clicking on the red pentagon. And I've set my corners is already set to 3. See, you can make it bigger or less. I only want 3 for a triangle. So I'm going to draw a triangle. And I guess I want to have the point, one of the points going down to the left, like where the tail on the flamingo is going to be. So I'm going to bring that down and get it in place. Now, remember too, this would be much easier if you had a photo that you could put in the back and trace over. So, but the reason I'm not telling you to copy one of those pictures and bring it in and put it in your program is because of copyrights and everything. What you do for your own use, you know, it's fine. But as an instructor, I'm, you know, if you belong to any of those, if you can find any free images, fine. But otherwise, just pull up. Jane Eberall, I've mentioned before, she just takes a picture like this and starts tatting. And if you can do that, that's wonderful. This really is kind of an outline that maybe you could just, you know, do yourself. from looking at it and tatting. And that's a really good skill to learn. It's a good thing to practice. And actually, uh, given the nice smooth curves and it's fairly simple compared to some other shapes, like if you had an elephant or if you had a whatever, a giraffe might be easy too. For you to practice this method of drawing or of computer drawing. Um, so let's now if I go down and look at the tail of my picture, it almost goes diagonally up to the head, almost at a not quite a 45-degree angle, maybe from the tail up to the beak. So I'm kind of going to look at, I've got my point down here to the left and kind of got the same shape, although mine is coming out. Might be that the head needs to be over a little more, or maybe I just need to, I'm going to get my selector tool, the arrow at the top or the S on the keyboard. I'm going to make this a little smaller. I'm going to turn it a little more. This might be a little, maybe it goes more like that. Okay, so it's kind of an angle. Actually, look at the bottom line of where if you bring a line down where the bottom of the belly is, the base of the tail, what I can't see right now, but it looks like it's going to come out just about in line with that. So I guess I would want my tail to be here. I'm going to want it to be from the corner. I'm going to make that down a little for the width. Now it's going to have to be longer, so I am going to want to pull this lower left. But I'm going to, if I pull it like this, remember this is just a shape, so all I can do is, if I pull it, it makes it all longer. I'm going to have it as a nodes, as a path with nodes. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to just select N on my keyboard for node tool. Go up in object to path. Now I can pull my tail down longer and I can move it however I want. So now that we've got these 4 shapes, we could actually add the a little teeny, do I still have, let me click back on the polygon tool, still got 3 corners. Let's make a little beak going down. Now this isn't perfect, but we're getting there. And I think it's already starting to look kind of like a flamingo, don't you think? So now what I'm going to show you we can do. There are ways by going path. Remember, we've got difference, intersection, exclusion, all these things. And unless you really start working with them, it's hard to remember which is which unless you've got it written down. The difference between union and difference and intersection, those all do little different things. But now that they've added the shape tool, the shape builder tool, which is the 3rd tool down on your toolbar, it's got a circle and a square outlined in white. We can, first we can select all of our pieces. I'm just going to, with the selection tool, draw my square around all of them. So every shape is selected now. You notice every shape has a dotted rectangle around it. It's probably been years since or months since I've mentioned that we always called these the dotted ants, these little dash lines. Marching ants, that's what we called them. In when I took computer drawing classes in college or at the college, we called them the marching ants. Now we are going to go and click on this. Now that all the pieces are selected, click on that third tool down, Shape Builder. Now, what you see are, you can see each piece now, each section, even where they overlap, gives you individual pieces. And so you could click on individual pieces. I'm going to click on the beak. I'm going to hold, no, I don't have to hold shift on this. Click on the beak, the head, and the neck. And now I could go up to, notice up on the tool control bar up here, it says finish, and we've got an arrow and an X for no. You can finish it or you can cancel it. I'm going to say finish. And now all we've got is what we actually highlighted after we clicked on the shape builder. But notice that each of them is still separate so that you could work on them that way and still have, your whole shape if you select around all of them. But what we want to do is make one outline for our design. So I'm going to go back a couple steps and I'm going to, click on the shape builder tool again. Oh, I must select some objects. I forgot to select my objects. Isn't it nice that you get a little reminder message? I'm going to click on shape builder and I actually want to combine every single one. So before I clicked on one, then I clicked on the next one I wanted. And if you design logos and things like that, this can really be a helpful tool. For us, we're just making outlines. So I'm going to start at the tail. I'm not going to let up on my mouse. I'm going to drag over every piece. Whoops, my beak is not in place, but I think it's going to connect it. I'm going to let go. Now notice when it made the outlines, it actually made the triangle touch the oval. So it can become one piece. Now I'm going to click finish. Now I have my whole flamingo outlined. And now what I can do, I'm going to click on my selection tool now. Notice when we click on it now, it's all one combined unit. If I click on the node tool now, I have nodes for the whole outline. And from here, I can start making more changes. Give me a second to pull my thoughts together here. I'm going to start, let's see. Well, one thing when you're working with vector drawing, which means you'll have the nodes and the program is using mathematical computations behind the scenes. When you're making a shape, you want to use as few nodes as possible. And notice that the nodes always go, like on the neck here, this big outward curve of the neck that curves to the right, that's only got one node right at the top of the curve. Notice there's two nodes at the top of the back. And there might even be three. And I'll show you why. Why do I have two handles there? Yeah, there's the other node. Because one node is from the circle, one node is from the triangle. And so we might need this, both of them, because this upper right of the body, um, what was I going to say? Needs to have, notice on the outward curve, it doesn't have one here. It didn't put one at this outward curve because it kind of kept the node from the original circle where you would have the one at the right side at like 3 o'clock and the one at the top at noon. It kept those original circles. But when I drew with the pen, everywhere you see a node is where the direction changed. So it was the neck here was coming down to the right, then it changed and went down to the left. So that's a change in direction where you get an outward curve. The same with the neck. The neck here is an inward curve, so there's one node for the inward curve. And when you're drawing something, that's something to remember because with the pen tool, we probably would want to, if we make like this, just an arc, and then we could take the node tool and move it and everything like that. But if we wanted it to be perfectly centered, we would want it so that we could do more, have more manipulation of it. It would be best instead of just grabbing here and pulling it up. When you're drawing a tatting design, I wouldn't do this. But if you're drawing any like a shape of an animal or anything, you might want a little more control. So you might want to get your node tool right on the line, double click, and put a node in. That gives you a lot more control over the shape you're making. Notice if I bring it down, it crosses itself, which we don't want to do. Well, I don't want to do for this particular design, but that almost looks like the top part of a nice, what do I want to say? The top part of a paisley. I'm going to select it all and delete it. So now we don't need this big dip here. I'll get my node tool again and on the keyboard. I really, unless I want to make more shape here, I don't need this node. It's an extra one because I've got a node up here and I've got a node over here. And so I'm going to not use this. We want to, from the base of the neck up over to the tail, we just want one smooth curve. So by clicking on this node, this upper one, and going up here and clicking right here on the delete selected node, now I can make it a nice smooth curve. Notice I could go up or down or make it a nice smooth curve. Usually a smooth curve can be, if we want it, this moves it so it's not exactly, notice my handles aren't even and the same. But that can give us the different shape from the base of the neck up to here and then over here and down. And if you notice, there are, I guess we could have kept two nodes. When you go up to the neck, it almost does look like there's a little, right? Are you looking, look at the picture, the pink flamingo here, photo. It almost looks like right here, it might go smoother across and then right there taper down more. But for tatting, we just want a nice smooth shape there. And we could then with this, so we could with this blue node selected, notice I don't have all I can see up, it's right under the menu item extensions. All I see is the angle right there for my node choices. And that's because my screen isn't wide enough to show all four. But notice there's a drop down arrow. So I can drop down the arrow and go down and pick what I want out of these four. And if I just want it to be a smooth node, I can click the far right one that says make selected nodes auto smooth. But see, then you get a smooth in here, but it's not the right shape for what we want. So I'm going to control Z because I wouldn't want that. I do like if I click off everything, well, I don't quite like the shape. There we go. I think I like the shape like that. Now it's almost a smooth all the way down to the tail. So this one we could either keep to make it, well, it's got to be more rounded. If we wanted to pull it in here, we'd have to go down to the tail and pull it like this, but it almost looks to me like it's straight and goes up just a little. So this is the point where you just decide. For tatting, we need, you can't make real tiny little changes. In the shape, they don't really show up well. Um, So I would just leave it a smooth curve down to the tail. Now I can't see what my tail looks like right now, so I'm not going to do anything to that. I could go over now and start fixing my neck up. I do have two nodes down here, and although we want the least amount of nodes, and the reason for that is it keeps your shape smoother. If you have too many nodes, you can have too many odd kinks. But it doesn't look to me like there's any odd kinks. So I'm going to keep that in case I want to reshape something a little later and need it. So I'm going to click on this one. And now I'm just going to be doing some fine tuning on the shape of the neck. That's looking pretty good. Might not be wide enough for my flamingo. I don't want it to look like a swan. This curve down here needs to be pulled out. So it's just a case now, and you can see if you did have a shape underneath, it would be easier to, make it match a shape than, oh, it looks like this bottom curve. I'm going to pull this down. It's more down here. And you know what I never did do is pull my neck up higher, but I think what I'm just going to do instead is just lower this. Now I'm not going to get rid of the extra nodes here because when it comes down here, it looks to me more like a swan, but than it does a flamingo, but I guess that's okay. Notice I do have a nice, when this curve comes down, the bottom curve where it changes to the little downward V for the leg over here, it comes in there. It looks like, look at the pink photo. The neck comes down and it ends right here for the dark pink or orangey and straight up to where the feathers begin at the top. And then it's got a dent down. So I'm going to leave this here, and it does look like it's about the right placement for where the feathers to go up to where the feathers start at the top here. And so then we have, okay, here's my one node. Here's my next one. This kind of just has a little bit of a curve down and then a little bit of a curve up. And then it does go up. This needs to be a smoother. Let's see. Yeah, it's a big, nice, smooth curve here. So you can see how I'm getting this. It's starting to look like a flamingo. Um, are there any questions up until now? Or comments or things you notice or wonder about? I'm going to open this farther so we can talk about this picture right here. And then next we'll go and you would want to fix the shape of the triangle beak and the head. And the thing next I would do is notice here, there's two nice big areas of feathers that go different directions. I would kind of draw a nice shape with the pen tool for this. Um, I wouldn't start it with a pre-made shape because of the odd shape of it. Well, thank you. It is. I hope yours is looking good too. I hope you mean that yours is looking good. I'm pleased with mine to start with because how long's it been? It hasn't been that long, and we've got a nice flamingo shape to start with. Um, oops, I guess I just wanted to get that open again. So I would make, next what I would do is make the this shape, and then you've already then got this part almost blocked off. So then you just need to get a little line across here. And how much detail into the tail, still working it, but looking good so far. Got focus. Your head answered you, but didn't type anything. Oh, you mean mine? Oh, you're on your phone. Okay, so you can't work. So yeah, and now that I've got that, I feel like I want to tat it. I'm really interested in tatting it. And I do love seeing it with the leg up. Now, if I wasn't gonna have water down here in the picture, like a water line or something, I would get another look at another flamingo picture that does have the foot all the way down to get the dimensions. But notice one of the things I'm noticing is if you go down this triangle for the back end, it almost exactly matches the triangle angle of the leg. So this is what you want to look for. You know, it comes down and across on the body, and the leg comes down and across almost in an exact same angles as each other. And so that's kind of now it almost is the same size too. It's almost the same. Show my drawing. Okay. So basically what I might do for the leg then Let me show you something. I'm going to take my node tool. I'm going to select the left three nodes. I'm going to see if I can copy them and then select off the picture totally and paste. Yep, it did exactly what I thought it would. Oops, now I'd have to look at the picture to see exactly where the leg was spaced on it. Oh, actually, it's right in front of this dip here. Yep, lost my picture. Let's get this made smaller over here. So this is kind of a sketching and drawing as much as doing it on the computer. Uh-oh, I froze, I think, for a minute. But yeah, look at where that comes out. Just in front of where the the bottom has the little angle going into the tail. So that's about just right for the leg. I didn't look at the elbow or the back of the knee. But so then what I could do for this is just go down here to the lower left, the red X on the white square, and get rid of the fill. And there I've got the leg. So look at the different shapes compared to each other. Like I used the body top to bottom to kind of get the length of the neck. And I found it easier if I got figured out where the head was just about going to be. Remember to pull out, you can pull out ruler guides wherever you want to. Even the corner guides, remember, if you go up to the corner by the lock in the upper left, if you're not on the lock quite, and you get in just the right place, there we go, you could pull down an angle and notice the whole angle of the back and the angle of the leg. And now I've got an angle, look at right here, from the bend in the leg, mine goes up to the tip of the beak. So now I would go and look at, whoops, oh, here's another one. Well, I guess this beak is kind of on that kind of an angle to the leg. And look at all the different ways you can shape the neck. If you find pictures like this, you've got the same body tail, the curved leg. It's not quite, it doesn't cross over, but look at the different. I've never seen a tatted flamingo. I think I've seen one before, but I don't think I've ever seen one with its neck down. And look at the interesting curves. This one with the neck and facing backwards. All these are wonderful and can make your tatted design unique. So I think this is probably, it's a shorter lesson today because I didn't get started talking until late, but I think this is a good place to stop. And you can use everything you learned on this to try a different animal. So I think for working on this, the shape builder tool really comes in helpful. Just to make all those shapes and then hook them all together. So any questions about today? And I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe it's inspired one of you. Great. Thanks, Mary. I'm glad. And it's really, it's fun to work with the shapes and drawing together other shapes, connecting it with the pen tool, and everything just works so beautifully together. And you probably will say, if I had said to you, I want you to draw a flamingo, a lot of you wouldn't have known where to even start. So even if you're sketching, it's the same way. Get your shapes in first. You can judge distances and sizes, then between each other. What's nice is with the drawing program, we don't have to erase. We can just really move things really nice and easily. Help you remember how to do stuff. Great, Katia. And that's one of the main things in working in a program like Inkscape is continual practice of the same things so that they become second nature and you don't have to think about what you're going to do. Your brain and your hands will work together with your muscle memory. Yes, please like and subscribe. Thank you for the appreciation, Katia. I really appreciate it, and it keeps me going. So that's it for today. I hope you all have a nice week, and I hope to see you next week. So bye for now.